Hi BookTube! My name is Sarah and welcome to the Bookish Knitter. Today I am coming to you with my weekly reading update. This is for week number 14 and it is April the 2nd through April the 8th. I finished 4 books this week, very exciting. Timestamps in the description box below if you want to jump ahead to any part of this video. So of course I'll be talking about the 4 books that I finished. I'll be sharing with you the books I'm currently reading. There's no book haul this week. I haven't bought anything, excuse me. And, but I do have a tiny bit of crafting to show you. I got really no cross stitch done over the last week, except for last Sunday I put a couple stitches in the squirrel. But I'm not going to bother showing that to you guys because like I said, it's really not much. I'm going to continue maybe working on that this week, but I did finish knitting one of my socks. So I will show you that at the end of this video. But anyway, I had some good books this week and I had a book that I was really disappointed about. I'll talk about it when I get to it, but it was a book that disappointed me, unfortunately. So, happy Sunday, everybody. It is the 9th of April. Happy Easter Sunday for everyone who celebrates. Passover, happy Passover. I think that's still happening. Whatever celebration you happen to be participating in this Sunday or this weekend. Yeah, or if it's just Sunday, I hope you enjoy your Sunday. So, to the books that I finished this week. The first book that I finished was Circle of Evil by Carolyn Keene. This is Nancy Drew Files book number 18, and I gave this one 3.5 stars. So this one took place at a country club in River Heights where Nancy lives. And there's a girl that she used to go to school with who's from a very well-to-do family. And this girl literally tells everybody how much, money she's got, where all the expensive stuff that her parents have purchased for her. When her parents are going away on vacation, so the house is empty, and lo and behold, shocking, the girl gets robbed. So there's also these other robberies that are happening at this country club, or but 2 people from this country club. Stuff isn't being taken from the club, but obviously the club happens to be the hive of activity for where these, thefts are originating from, if you will. So it turns out that all of these rich people at this country club just tell everybody all their business. Like, oh, I just bought this for X number of dollars. And, oh, I'm going away for 2 weeks to the south of France. And nobody's going to be in my house, not even the maid. You're asking to be robbed at that point. So essentially, Nancy is trying to track the robbers. And yeah, the story goes from there. I liked it. I thought it was a lot of fun. I gave it 3.5 stars. Actually, I thought it was going one way, but it ended up going another. So which is why it kind of got a slightly, usually these books get about a 3-star rating from me. Not that I don't like them, but 3 stars is a perfectly average read for me. But this one got about 3.5 because I thought it was going one way and it went another. And I was like, okay, I wasn't expecting that. I also like that in this one, Nancy was getting quite a bit of pushback from the local police, the new guy on the police force. Because in all the other books, like the police, oh, we can use your help, Nancy, because you're only an 18-year-old girl who just seems to know how to solve mysteries. You get a lot of that, like, oh, let's ask Nancy what her opinion is. Whereas in this one, the police officer who's new to the force was kind of like, really? You're an 18... Not that there's anything wrong with being an 18-year-old girl, but like, how do you expect to solve a mystery or a crime? This is my job kind of an idea, right? And, you can go and play detective somewhere else, which, I feel would be more realistic than what you typically see in the Nancy Drew books. So anyway, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun. The next book that I finished was 450 from Paddington by Agatha Christie. I gave this book 4 stars. It is book number 8 in the Miss Marple series. I did listen to parts of it on audio, and it was narrated by Amelia Fox. So when I say parts, when I talk about audiobooks that I'm listening to, the one thing I've fallen into is that I'm not strictly just listening to a book on audio, like from start to finish. And I'm doing that with another book I'm reading this week, where when I'm in the car, commuting to work, going to the grocery store, stuff like that, I will pop in the audiobook for whatever book it is I happen to be reading, if there's an audiobook available. But at other times, if I'm at home, for example, and, I'm doing some reading, I'm actually physically reading it, not listening to the audiobook. So I kind of go back and forth between the audio and the print or ebook version. So when I say, I partially listen to it on audio, that was the case in the 450 from Paddington. So excuse me. I like this one. I thought it was quite good. Again, this was going somewhere that I wasn't expecting. I was actually quite shocked at the killer at, what happened. So the whole plot of this book, if you have not read this Agatha Christie, is about this woman, and it's just before Christmas, and she's coming back on the train. And she gets to a part where the two trains are like, there's another train going this, and they kind of slow down and kind of like, neck and neck with each other. And she witnesses a murder on the other train. Well, she's an older lady, but she's friends with Miss Marple. So of course she tells Miss Marple, this is the situation. So then Miss Marple enlists this other girl named Jane to try and help. No, was it Jane? I can't remember the other character's name. She's like a housekeeper. But anyway, the thing that got me out of this one, though, is that you don't see a lot of actual Miss Marple. Like, I thought that she was going to be like, Murder, She Wrote, or whatever, that Jessica Fletcher character, and be like right in the thick of things and trying to figure it out. But no, she's like having other people do the work for her. It's like, this is my idea, go and do it, please. So yeah, I don't know how I felt about that. I expected more Miss Marple, but you know what? It is what it is. I did enjoy the narration on this one, the times that I was listening to it. I thought it was a lot of fun. And yeah, this was an enjoyable story. I definitely want to read more. This is now my third Agatha Christie. I have only ever read And Then There Were None and The Orient Express, so this is my third. So I have a lot of backlist from her to catch up on, and that makes me really happy. So I am looking forward to getting to more Agatha Christie. The next one that I finished was my disappointing read of the week. So this book I gave 3 stars to. Now, again, I just said like 3 stars is an average rating from me. However, I was hoping for more from this book, and that is To Have and to Hoax by Martha Waters. So this is the first book in the Regency Vows series. And again, this is one that I picked up on audio when I was commuting to work. And it was narrated by Annis, Irina Chase, and Joel Franken. Now, him as the narrator, so it goes back and forth, like parts of the story are told from her perspective, parts from his perspective. I did not like him as a narrator at all. I'm sorry. My issue with him is like he was putting on an accent. Not to say that he didn't speak with a British accent, because of course this takes place in Regency England. But it was almost like a farce of a very aristocratic British accent, and I did not like it. I didn't like it. That's all I can say, is that I didn't like it. I don't know. I've never heard this gentleman as a narrator before, and I just was not a fan, to be completely honest. So the plot of this story is about our 2 main characters named Violet and James. And they meet in the prologue of the book by chance on this balcony and end up getting engaged because, of course, they're caught out there, just the 2 of them. But it is a love match, as they say, and they get married. So then a year into their marriage, they have this blow-up fight. And they have not really spoken in 4 years. He spends a lot of time at the country estate, and she's back in London. They do spend time together in London and stuff, like during the season, but they're not really speaking. They're very much estranged from each other. So the plot of the story is the 2 of them finding each other again. So my issue with this book is I did not like either main character. I could not stand Violet, and I could not stand James. This story just kept going around and around and around. Like, they would start to make up, and then one would say something to the other, and then they'd be like, oh, at each other again. Towards the end, I thought that we were coming to a resolution. And, finally they had, kind of made up in a way. And then she overhears something that she shouldn't have heard, and she takes it out of context, and she gets mad again. I'm like, I'm over it. I'm done with this. And the last 15% of this book, I just kind of skimmed, because I didn't care anymore. I literally did not care about either of these characters anymore. I think my biggest issue with it is that I didn't believe in their romance in the first place. I did not, because you meet them in the prologue of the book, and they, by chance they're on this balcony together, and then it goes right into the book where they've already been estranged for 4 years. You don't see their relationship. You don't see them being a couple. You don't see them being in love. So how am I supposed to believe it if I'm just told, oh, it was a love match and blah, blah, blah? I want some proof. I want to, read. I wish we had at least a couple chapters before we jumped ahead in time to this estrangement that they had with each other. So the reason it got 3 stars is because I did like the story. Let me rephrase that. I did like the writing, and I liked the secondary characters. I really like the secondary characters in this book, and they are going to be getting their own books. So I am very much looking forward to that. Just this one did not, and you know what? So many people like this book, and that's why this was a disappointment. I thought for sure I was going to like this one, and I didn't, and so many other people did, and maybe it's me, maybe it was the time I was reading it, I don't know, but I just could not stand their bickering. I do not want to spend 400 pages, 350 pages listening to two people complain to each other. Yeah, was not a fan. Sorry, but I wasn't. And the last book that I finished, literally, I just finished this one last night, was Making a Marriage Deal by Sophie Singh Sasson. This book I gave 4.5 stars to. I really enjoyed this book. This is book number 4 in Nights at the Maha series. And this is a Harlequin Desire, of course. So this is a brand new release for April. This is now out in your bookstores. And oh, guys, this book was so good. So it's about our main characters, and I apologize if I mispronounce names. Hema and Vivek, I believe. And the two of them kind of have an arranged marriage. And you meet both of these characters in previous books in this series. Now, I have not read any of the previous books in this series, but it in no way, the author did a bang-up job of giving you just enough information to make the story make sense without completely destroying the plot lines or what happens in the other books. And I do want to now go back and read the other 3 books in this series, because I really like the secondary characters that you meet in this one who had their own stories in the previous books. So you're given just enough information. So And it's also like you weren't given too much information either, that, you know, you couldn't believe the romance or what was going on between our 2 main characters. So it's not a love match. They decided she is in India and she comes to New York to marry him. And he's a very, very, very well-to-do businessman in New York, and he wants a wife because it just looks better when you're doing business to have a wife. We all have heard this song and dance story and romance before. And she wants to be in New York because she wants to be a surgeon. And there's this residency that's happening at a New York hospital that she's been approved for, but her father, who's very, very old-fashioned, does not want her to go to New York City by herself and thinks it would be better if she had a husband. So the two of them, full stop, they're like, this is going to be an arranged marriage. Let's just do this. It sounds great. They both have a past with people that they cared about before, and their hearts were broken, essentially. So a good half of this book takes place on a cruise ship, which is what you see on the cover. And that's where their wedding takes place. So it's like 7 days, 7 days of wedding on this cruise ship, and they like literally rented out the entire cruise ship for the wedding. Talk about opulence. What I love is the culture in this one, because of course it's not something that I would be familiar with. But again, the author did such a great job of explaining the significance of some of the ceremonies and why it's done this way and what happens and things like that. And yeah, I really, really liked it. I thought it was great. And then after you get the second half of the book is their marriage, essentially, like the beginning of their marriage and some stuff that's going on, some stuff with her parents. I mean, there's kind of a lot happening in this book for a book that's only like 225 pages long. Guys, it was so good. It was so, so good. I really, really liked it. I highly recommend that you give it a read. So yeah, so that is everything that I read this week, you guys. Yeah, a dud, but some other good books. So that's always a good thing. So what am I currently reading? So my current weekly TBR book, if you will, is, let me just find it here. I'm reading it on my Kobo because I did borrow it from the library. It's on the back here, so I can show you guys the cover. So I am reading Beard Necessities by Penny Reed. I am also listening to this one on audio while I'm in the car, narrated by Chris Brinkley and Joy Nash, who do he does all of the Winston Brothers books. She does, I think, 5 out of the 7 for narration. But anyway, that's besides the point. So this is the 7th and final book in the series. I do not want to say too much about it because this is kind of like a wrap-up of a lot of stuff that's happening. I'm almost done it. I think I'm at 70% of the way through it. I think. I'm hoping to finish it today, so I will definitely have it to talk to you guys about next week in my video. And then my current library book that I am reading, this is the only book I did not take back to the library yesterday because I was almost done it, so I am literally very close to finishing it, and that is Against the Tide by Melody Carlson. This is okay. I've actually been not struggling with it, but I haven't been like, oh, I really want to pick that one up kind of an idea. I'm I'm not sure what it is about this one. I think, this is going to sound silly because it is a suspense novel, but literally at the end of every chapter, it's like, don't, and then something happens, like someone jumps out at her, or there's a car accident, or her tires have been slashed, or he falls in the water. Like, it's like the end of every single chapter, something happens, and it's kind of like, really? We're now on chapter 18. It's a little repetitive, and we're only on the second day. Like, only 2 days have passed since the start of this book. So a lot of stuff has gone down. You know what I mean? So I think that's what it is. It's a little too dramatic for me, for lack of a better term. But I'm, again, hoping to finish this one today. I've got the whole rest of the day to do nothing and to relax. And then I have not started this one yet, but I will be starting it today. And I am super, super excited because I just finished the Desire book. And my new Harlequin book that I am starting next is going to be Her Man of Honor by the great Terry Wilson. So wait till you guys see this cover in full color. It is gorgeous. This is a special edition novel. It's about a woman who, I guess for reasons, marries her best friend. A guy, her best friend. So yay, I'm very much looking forward to this one. So I'll be starting that one today as well. So those are the 3 books that I currently have on the go. Last but not least, this is a shorter video this week, you guys. Yeah, it's just... I'll be honest and say it's Sunday. I worked yesterday. I was sick on Friday. This has really been the only day of my vacation, like of my weekend, that I'm getting. And I kind of want to go and just sit and mindlessly watch some YouTube and read some books. So I finished knitting a sock this week. So there it is. There is the heel. Yeah, finished sock. Very, very happy about that. And I immediately cast on the second sock. So there we go. And that's how far I've gotten into sock number 2. So yeah, so that's it, you guys. Very exciting, not so much. Yeah, let me know how your reading week went, my friends. Did you get a lot read? Did you not? What was your favorite book that you read this week? And yeah, I want to know all the things. And until my next video, everybody, take care and happy reading. Thank you all so much for watching. Bye, guys.